You love me so, me so, me so. I know. You love me so, me so, me so. I know. You love me so, me so, me so.
Hello, fam. Thank you for keeping us talking, and thank you for choosing to navigate life with Viwe. We are back again with yet another episode, and I certainly never converse alone, do I? I'm here with the cutest day in the area. Mawetu in the area. Hello.
Hello, Viwe.
How are you?
What an honor, what a pleasure, what a privilege to be here. I'm very well, thanks. And how are you doing?
It is my pleasure.
As always,
It is my pleasure. Yeah. Thank you for joining me for this yet another conversation. I know we never talk about things that people talk about in their spaces. We always bring those challenging conversations, don't we?
They are challenging to us. They challenge us first before they even get head out there.
Yes, right? We're happy to be having these conversations with you. Thank you for choosing to navigate life with us. Thank you for subscribing to our channel. Thank you for all the likes and all the comments. I love where we are in the channel. I think we are now exploring the topics that you guys are actually suggesting for us to explore. And today we are talking in-laws.
In-laws.
So when you get married, you obviously inherit a family. And that family is called your family in-law. Now you go through this divorce situation. Who do they become? Who do you become? And how do you navigate that relationship? That's precisely why we are here today. We are here to say, look, we've seen in society where somebody who's married and then they inherit their in-laws, they divorce and they marry again. And now this family has inherited a new in-law daughter or son. But what happens to the old relationship? Do we divorce the entire family? Do you leave the son, in my case, the daughter in your case, and their family? So in taking off today's conversation, I just want to maybe get from you, how's the in-law relationship whilst you were married compared to how it is now? Have you guys sustained the relationship? Have you guys sort of worked your, how you guys navigate life around each other?
Right.
How's that for you?
All right, you mean post?
No, I mean both. Right. Give me how it was before, because I can only make sense of it if you give me both contexts.
I'd like to believe it was not any different from just your ordinary other, relationship, marriage.
Yes.
Okay? Where the bride's family ends an additional son, and the groom's family has an additional daughter, all right? Or the last born.
Yes.
A baby. I remember in one of my siblings' weddings, my dad spoke with beaming pride, that today at exactly 1:05, a baby boy was born in my family, and we named him, and then he named...
the cute Mawetu.
He announced the name of my brother-in-law.
Yes,
I see. And it was
I thought this was about you.
No, it was one of my siblings. But I'm just saying it's kind of like the same, right?
I understand.
And you feel welcomed, and you feel, wow, this is new to me, and it becomes so beautiful that there are some encounters sometimes where you go to the to your wife's parental home, and when you get there, you wake up and your father-in-law is busy washing your car. And I'm like, I should be washing his car. My car. Where am I?
Divorce and situation in jail. Oh my goodness. Go wrong. I also want to reflect on that. Do you know how I reflect on that? I had such a beautiful relationship with my in-laws.
That's lovely.
I can tell you, the brothers, the mother, we all just got along. I think we were all very aware of how this relationship was born out of nowhere.
Yeah.
I think we were all very intentional about making it work. So as I sit here today, I would honestly tell you that during my marriage, I had a healthy relationship with my in-laws. The mother and father, although they were divorced, the mother and father to my ex-husband, and I mean the rest of the family. But I think it's also a bit, I don't know how to define it,
Right.
because as I sit here, I haven't had a conversation with these people since I divorced. And I think part of that may have been informed by our inability to transition the divorce. Because for people that never had issues, I mean, does it make sense that we don't talk? We don't talk anymore. But that is the current situation,
That's the current
right?
situation.
And I think most of it is not coming from a place where we decided that we were not getting along. I think it came from a place where we didn't understand how to transition the relationship.
Oh,
Right. But I'm glad. But how are you finding it now?
yeah. Right. Because of the amount of work that was invested into this and the intentionality
Yeah.
before the fact, right? Viwe, obviously, I think blood is thicker than water, all right? And sometimes we must lavish some courtesy and grace to our families, one to the other. I don't know, there is something in the umbilical cord that cannot be reasoned, all right? Maybe its reasoning falls outside the academic routine.
Space.
All right? It transitions into another space.
Yeah.
Even with Iskukugazi, it is prone to protecting its young. The lion, what will it do to you immediately you approach its cubs? You know, the snake with its little ones, amaqandayo. So all species are of different types are in the nature of protecting their young. All right. So if something is brewing, they are more prone to defending, to justifying their own and to protecting their own. Very seldom that people become objective and say, hang on, let us try and weigh and see what happened, depending on the approach as well. That is why other people will always advise that, look, if there is something wrong and you feel that you need external help, let your parents be the last option, because they are seldom effective when it comes to objectivity. But if you get to that space, rather you approach your husband's mom than your mom, or your husband's dad than your own.
But at the point where the relationship is breaking, those things just fall off, by
obviously
the wayside.
they fall off because there is no longer,
Cooperation, so to speak.
Yes, you've given away the right, as
As a son-in-law.
As a son-in-law, it has fallen off. But answering you,
I actually want.
long-winded.
No,
So
I want to take you on in that. Are you going to continue just now?
Take me on, sure. Yeah.
I feel like as the new generation of parents, we need to be very aware of what Mawethu has just said, that when the relationship between the married ends, do we want to be those people that end the entire relationship as though with the person that would have been an in-law to your family?
Yeah.
Right? I don't see progress there. I don't see how that assists anybody. But I understand when somebody's going to remarry, those dynamics become quite tricky. How do we treat the new person if we still like the old one? But I think if we understand this for what it was, that the families are there to support this union and whatever comes out of it. And what comes out of it oftentimes is the children. How do these dynamics play themselves out when there have been children in that situation? And then now you are deciding, look, we are no longer in-laws, then this is where it ends. Right?
Look, a marriage is between two people.
Yes.
So when it ends between two people.
Yes.
But when two people get married, it's nations that get married.
I
It's families
see.
that get married.
I see.
So there are some people who actually love their son-in-law, their brother-in-law. They are
Yes, beyond
they
the
genuinely
divorce.
love you. You just become sometimes even a lovable reprobate, if you like, and the same is true of their daughter-in-law. They parade her with pride. They love her. And then things end between the two of you. Does it now end between the entire entourage
of the
that she
families?
has? No, umalume ngumalume. When you recognize them, some of them will actually meet you up in the streets and they say, hey, come lahlele something.
Yes.
because your children intermingle with these people, all right, you must work hard at keeping things decent.
Absolutely.
You do not have to overextend yourself, but be decent, be cordial as and when, but a little bit from a distance at this stage.
I see. I love that, and I think I would actually just want to draw it forward. Right?
Yeah.
That it's a pity that these aren't relationships that we're necessarily proud of. You know, the fact that they fall or they don't thrive after the divorce. Certain things are lost and people don't understand how to interpret themselves.
Yes.
Yay, now ke ngokuma wethu. Hey, we live 40 plus. Ne? Manje usuyajola, right? Usuyajola, ne?
Sure.
No, because we also need to fast forward this conversation from both ends, because it could be the reality of your ex-partner that there's somebody else that the family has to take in, after your divorce, Now, fast forward, let's take you now in that context where we're saying now you're dating somebody.
Right.
And this person has a family. And ke ngoku, naturally, when you dated before, you kept your relationship away from family, your family, because you were younger. And you couldn't just come home. Yeah. Now, when you're 40 plus, you're quite aware of what it is that you want out of a person, and you found this person, and you inherit this family. Maybe how do you navigate that space with them having been very familiar with whoever was there before? And in the context I'm speaking in terms of now getting together with somebody who has been through our personal experience and divorced. So how do you navigate that space? How do you imagine you should?
There is always this kidness. There could be valid reasons for umfihle. There's immediately you get divorced. There's always pressure from the family for you to get another spouse.
Is it?
Families are just like that. Some of them, they will just tell you, Danam, Husa, take your time, heal, work on yourself, raise your children. There is no rush. All right. And some of them, okay, fine, you're 40. No man should die alone, and you do not want to be lonely, and you need to get over your previous hurt, previous pain. I want a third mzukulwana. I want a boy child from you, and. So the pressure is perpetual.
I feel like I need to stop you right there, because this leans in quite.
On my tracks.
I need
Otherwise,
to stop you on your tracks, because I don't want our viewers to imagine that's the only way. Because in my situation, please don't defend it.
I presented two ways.
No,
I'm not defending anything, but carry on.
Let me carry on to say, I love that, and I think it actually bears truth to what we said on our Jolo episode.
Yes.
Where we said it almost feels like you guys get rolled a red carpet for you you guys to date again. Because in my situation as a woman, I've had my father saying, Uzawuphinda, ujole, ungaphinda utshate, kodwa. You know what I mean? Like all this, so the response from my family around my situation is far from what you're saying, where everyone is saying we want like another third child. Nothing. For me, it's like, yes, see, make sure you don't lose your tracks. You don't get on somebody else's program and then you end up right back here again. So for me, it's not like, and I've had questions. I didn't know, but look, Oksalayo, I'm a very self-sufficient woman. Self-sufficient means no kansondliwe ekhaya, Now, do I now date? Do I now date and hide the person I'm dating because andimchatanga?
Well, each family has got its own traditions, rules, and
yes, absolutely.
Systems. You might be having this strict father.
Mine is not strict.
He just wants things to follow proper protocol.
Absolutely.
Right? You don't introduce things like boyfriend. What are those? But you find easygoing fathers
families
who understand
yes.
that, look, our daughter can make her own decisions.
Yes.
And she is facing things that any adult would face. We've had brothers of our own who have faced it. Let's lavish her some grace, right? Remember, I've got two parents. I've got a mom and a dad.
Yeah.
They are not necessarily alike in their thinking.
Yes.
They don't have the same foresight into these things. You find that my mom is they almost interpret your divorce as something that has actually put you in a corner of perpetual hurt, of perpetual misery and moping around the loss.
I see.
Right? So they think the only way to assuage that pain is for you to get somebody else, right? And every time you get asked, and now your dad is like, hey, Nyanam, before you get married again, it's fine. Let's do it quietly, man. We don't have to inform the whole lally again. I don't want to go through that again, parade you and make it something of pomp and glory, only for it to fail. So everybody's wounded.
Yeah, no, what you're saying
So they
is
are
quite important.
treading carefully.
I think what you're saying
they are
is
treading
quite important.
Carefully. And then there's you, Gengoku, who has got to make, in the sea of all these other dynamics, you've got to make your own decisions that are going to serve you best.
Who do you become?
Does it mean, yes, you become yourself. Stay true to yourself. Become authentic.
If you're dating Viwe, do you now? Because as I said, the dynamic before you got married to Viwe was that I got a girlfriend. She has no affairs in her family affairs, you know. She can't be coming as attend umtshato ndingene ndimparade nobukhona makayamba yohlala back, you know, and because but now as a self-sufficient, and I keep coming back to this definition,
right,
as a self-sufficient man, sure, dating a self-sufficient woman, right, where you guys in your own personal lives have found a way of supporting each other, you know, how do you take home this person when you know maybe you're not ready to re-enter marriage again? Or must you marry them? You know, I'm saying, if the limitations to who you could bring home earlier were age, were the fact that you were still provided for up until you could prove independence, but I'm also now questioning, this are before this is a period before officially in-lawing each other. How do you navigate that space?
Sure. So I think it will be dictated by the conversations that you are having with your elders. Try and be attuned to their thinking, and try not to don't impose on them, because for as long as we coexist with our parents, we shall always be little babies to them. We try and tell them, listen, Dada, I am my own man now, but he feels that in his house, it's his rules. All right. So if I have a conversation with my old man and say, listen, there is this person in Buzana na impilo, right? And we are comfortable with each other. We are each other's safe place. And I'd like to, sometimes few and far in between, bring her home, and let her celebrate with us and be merry during some of the key family gatherings. All right, I see. Do you envision any future, plans with this person? Are you planning to tie the knot? Are you going to ask me to be a misery again? So based on you answering those questions and getting what his take is, then you can play around those.
But I wanna take you on just on that.
Yeah.
Say, and I said you are a self-sufficient man dating a self-sufficient woman, and maybe this conversation has come up that our intentions are not to remarry, but to offer support to each other as life partners. So I wanna honestly make you aware this, and I'm sorry that I'm posing it to you. That now you've brought home this woman, and she feels, you know what, imen power short the kitchen.
Yes.
Let me go help. Let's take this to the practical. Let me go help. How do you view that? Do you think it's something modern family 2025 should be open to, or is the onus on the people like you and your person to now be sort of coerced indirectly to move towards a contractual marriage so that you could accommodate or get a kitchen?
For me, there's no difference between the Mawetu that got married at 30. He was himself a self-sufficient man.
Yes.
The woman he married was a self-sufficient woman, so to
see.
speak. Nothing has changed.
Absolutely.
Maybe the fact is that Mawetu then was driving a city golf. The Mawetu now
Is more sufficient.
is driving a Porsche. Yes, I'm driving a Porsche, guys.
Yes,
I'm
pop
kidding.
stars. Yes, Mugai.
So the question is, you as Mawetu's now girlfriend, current girlfriend, do you want to set yourself some boundaries to say, I am going to support my partner when he is in need, when there's a funeral in his family, all right? But I'm going to keep my own. I'm not going to go there and help with the dishes and help with the uklamba matumbo and sorting things,
Even-
and styling myself as a makoti, because it comes across as though I'm imposing myself to the family.
I understand.
Now the question is, do you want to style yourself as somebody who's counterbalancing themselves for umchato or positioning themselves to
I understand
make
what
the
you're
necessary
saying.
impression?
I understand and I respect
so
what you're
if you're
saying.
not prepared to get married, why do you need to make that kind of impression?
Can I respond to that? Because I'm
Sure.
meeting you in your 40s, the likelihood is that you might have a son without a wife,
Yes,
or you might have umntana ozaba 21st.
yes.
And because we've declared support for each other, I'm creating context to what you're saying, that sometimes it's not about wanting, because we've had the conversation between you and I, let's say, to say, look, chat, but we support each other. Now, there's a woman gap in your space where it is shared with your in-laws. Ndiyayikera le tapile or ndiyayiyeka in my support of you. Do I kera the tapile or do I not? But you must remember, this is not in the context of your bigger family, where it's like, this is directly linked to you. Ndiyalichuba itapile or ndiyaliyeka. That's what I'm trying to say.
In
ask.
my space,
Yeah.
in my space where we do not have the rest of the grand family.
Yes.
Right? You can do as you please.
Ikhona.
Ungaba nguwe-madam.
Yeah.
But ekhaya, it's no longer my space.
I
and my
see.
space
I
alone.
see. Absolutely.
All right. So what you do there will attract a lot of opinion yabahlali about who is this person. Because at some stage, you want things to happen, you might find yourself having to give an instruction, give a directive, khawunikezele le nto. Okay, ngubani yena lo sisi lo esimbona apha, and again, you've actually thrown another dynamic. I need to take my boy to the initiation school. Are you the mother? Where is the mother? And the mother, to a certain extent, because it's her boy biologically, she must go. And now there's the other woman who also needs recognition.
I
and the
understand.
rightful place.
I
So
understand.
there's certain dynamics you must be prepared for, and you must actually get to agree and align with the
bigger program.
and the partners that are and the individuals, the dependencies, if you like.
Okay.
The parents, the perceptions, managed perceptions
I
between
understand.
the two of you. Yeah.
I'm going to take this one back to you viewers. I think you guys can come in on this one. I think it's a dynamic that we can't complete on our own. And I think the question I'm posing, and I would love to see your responses to this question, that as self-sufficient people in our 40s, where now we are no longer just subjects of society and expectation, where now we also can have a say to say, how do we want to structure our lives? I want to support you as my man, and you want to support me as your woman. Sorry, excuse that. But I mean, what are the parameters? Because it seems that the resistance would not be between the two of us, but it would be coming from the external people. And to what extent do we allow that, And I'm raising it as a question for progression, for us to debate on, and I would love to understand how you view that dynamic. Can and should your in-laws be at a point where they expect you to be married into the family before you can take on certain tasks, irrespective of how you would have agreed on those with the actual partner that you have? Right. Now, moving forward from that, and I want us to take it on, I'm sure the viewers will assist us on this one. But also, hey, we both have kids. Right? And we might meet in an instance where both of us might have kids from our different corners. And now we have to coexist And there's a term in home economics that used to be called blended families. Lord forbid.
Blended family.
I never thought I would be part of a discussion around blended families. As life wakshaya left in Viwe.
Yes.
Mind you, so navigate things you didn't even imagine before you be part
thought
of your
you
reality.
had these things figured out.
Sanalam, I was ticking boxes, got married at the right time, had kids. I thought my life was...
The future looked bright and
Exactly.
without blemish.
But now we are talking blended families. Now you have these kids.
Right.
I have my own convictions, but I want to understand from you. You meet this woman, 40 plus, you can expect that she has kids already. And now, how do you navigate that space? How do you then come? Are you the daddy? If the daddy ain't around, especially for dysfunctional families where the daddy is not even taking or participating in the upbringing of the kids, who do you become? What role do you assume?
I meet a partner, she has kids.
Kids, yes.
I have kids. At some stage, ultimately, we might have to introduce our kids
To each other.
to each other, right? Now, obviously, for me, I have to read your energy. Do you want to be introduced? Do we feel that our relationship is ready to be taken to a phase where we are ready to introduce ourselves as partners? You know, are we on a trial run? Can we trust each other? Are we vulnerable with each other? Are you prepared to proceed, you know, with this person going forward? Is your mind not all over and it's rather fixated on that partner? If you are certain and you can actually answer those questions, tick those boxes, I'd say go ahead and phase it in, all right?
Phase in the blending of the family.
Okay.
Am I understanding you?
Yeah, okay. I think I vacillated between blending of the family and introduction of the partner.
Yes.
All right. Are you saying blending where now you have married your current partner? Sorry, I'm trying to understand.
No, what are the parameters? You can take it anyway, because also, and I want to bring in this quite clearly, that I'm not also suggesting that blending only happens when people get married. I'm saying living out your lives with your respective kids.
Yes.
And whatever activities and whatever brings you guys together, for me, is blending.
Right.
Do you understand the question better now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Let's hear
Well,
you
there's
out.
no blending without all stakeholders, you know, being aligned.
I see.
Right. Otherwise, there can be times when we are protecting kids because you do not want to introduce to your children this partner this time around. 2 years later, you introduce that partner. I think you are administering themselves to instability, if you like, because now they will mirror your behavior when they come of age. I don't know if that makes sense. Sometimes we are hesitant in introducing these partners because not because you can't do it, but because you want to respect these little ones and you want them to respect you. So how you conduct yourself as well matters, and it goes a long way. So once you are comfortable enough and you know that this is not likely to be failed off, you can go ahead and introduce that partner and build discipline around stability as well. So that
I don't know.
Confusion.
Do you know how I view the situation?
Humor me.
Hey. So for me, it's honestly a matter of everybody carries their own agency, including the kids. I don't like sometimes how society assumes you have to be 18 for you to understand the world you want to exist in, right? I think for me as Viwe, my kids are my kids, right? Your kids as my partner are your kids. Anything you do for my kids is your extension, of love, but it's not an expectation. Because the minute I put it as an expectation, even for my kids, it's almost like I'm forcing them to fit into my love situation. Hey, lo puting tata wenu. Do you understand? Whereas, look, they know their mother. And even if I will parent as a single parent to the best of my ability, whether you buy ice cream or not, that's entirely your vote. You decide how you cast that vote. And so it goes for your own kids. Your kids are your kids. The fact that we are in love should not be misconstrued to suggest a family structure that
Should it
does not have, no, I don't
Should
think it
not?
should, no. I think if I do something for your kids, it must be my extension of love for you. Not an expectation that Viwe ukhona uzawubaphekela. As a single father,
Right.
be concerned.
Right.
Abantwana bami bazawutya ntoni? Ibe ndim othi, no, I've got dinner covered.
Okay.
The minute uzawufika uthi abantwana bami abatyanga Viwe, it means you extended your responsibility to me. And for me, that's where I think we should not broker, and kids have their own agency. Like they should be encouraged to determine from a young age what works for them, including mommy's partner and daddy's partner.
Yeah.
Right?
That's a cogent argument there, Viwe. Cogent argument.
Take me on
Also
on the
brilliant.
next
Very
few
brilliant,
minutes.
by the way. Well thought out. Well
Yeah.
thought out. But indulge me. Some of these things go a long way.
Yes.
It depends on your value systems.
Absolutely.
You and your partner,
Yeah.
most of the time, 8 out of 10, at least should align.
Yeah.
Right? Because you might be someone of a completely different thinking. This is where now we're going to clash. All right. My thinking, even in a functional marriage, right? It's you and your spouse. Well, in my case, because of my belief systems, it's God first, then it's my spouse, right? Me and my spouse, basically. Anyone that's an inner circle, as I would call it, or as how I was socialized, or how I was impressioned, right? Anyone, including your kids, that encroaches on that inner circle is an intruder, right? So, same principle would apply in my case, right? There are different schools of thoughts. So please.
I'm indulging.
Yeah.
I'm listening. I promise you.
So in this case, your kids, my kids, same principle would apply. It's me and you. I know definitely you said you're not a practicing Christian, but you also said every time you're saying my God this, my God that, so you believe that there is a God, right? We're not imposing, I'm not trying to be churchy. It's the same principle for me that let's not allow kids to encroach, I think, which is sort of like aligning with what you're saying. My love for your kids is an extension of my love for you.
Yes.
I would, for instance, think if I marry you, if we go that route, your kids, somehow I'm a present father figure to them,
Yes.
without disrespecting and disregarding
The actual
their
father.
biological father or limiting access one to the other, right? But I have to shower them with courtesy, love, and, that avuncular kind of relation to them, and consider them as my kids. So that makes me more intentional, Is this idealism? I don't know, but this is just how I would think it. But for me to say, look, and again, I should treat your kids the same way I treat mine. I can't now say, okay, these are Viwe's kids. I should treat them with kid gloves and I should tiptoe around them because Viwe might actually have an issue with me if I actually reprimand her kids. It's a matter of saying, let me mete out the same amount of love. I don't know if it's biologically possible or naturally possible to your kids. Let me not introduce any kind of discrimination between my own kids and your kids. Let me afford them the same treatment, same privileges.
I want to say that's idealistic, though.
Certainly.
I want to say it's idealistic because
we are striving for perfection. We'll never get there.
Let me first say why I'm saying. Then you can disagree with me.
No, that's it. It's very hot in the studio.
No, I promise you. Look, there is this notion that love them all the same, but I think sometimes we overextend our own capabilities. There is a very intentional process in the 9 months of maternal bearing, right? Which creates a very special bond that I don't know many people, and I'm sure a lot of people might disagree with me. I'm honestly just speaking from my own perspective. I don't know many people that are able to mimic a maternal relationship to kids they haven't born, maternally. And that's why for me, it seems reasonable for me to take the weight of the relationship, to expect this person is going to offer a maternal or a paternal relationship perfectly to my kids. Because naturally, udibana nabo sele bene behaviors that he was never responsible for to start off with, that he is courteous towards them, respects them, and does not ill-treat them, for me, should be enough, And also being expected to, and I will never broker myself as somebody who's capable of coming into your life with your kids and loving them as dearly and as how their mother would, who might have had a maternal bond with them, which for me, I think it was quite intentional when God created it for it to be like that. So sometimes I think in our own expectations, we do set ourselves up to fail. You're like, hayi ndimthanda ngathi ngowam, just love the child. It's not about ngathi ngokabani. I think for me, it's in our definitions of how we get into these roles. As in Zindoba, even as somebody who's dating post, you're also creating a mountain. Hayi ndibathanda ngathi ngabam, just love the kids to the best, of your ability, without necessarily trying to get into a role oba dingumama wabo. Hence my conviction that my kids are my kids. Your extension of love towards them is also you expressing love for me. Your kids are your kids. At no point must there be an expectation for me to behave and at no point, it's almost like me saying I expect a man to come into my life abhatale fees abantwana bam.
But remember, it's not really an expectation, but you have lowered your expectations.
No, wait. Abakho you're providing for, you're paying fees for. Do you understand? And assume this responsibility.
Now we can know if I want to, if I can, I would want to assume that responsibility. If I have that financial blessing. No, I would not impose it. If you're not comfortable, obviously I would backpedal, but I would offer. If I have the capacity. So you may find that kids themselves, right, may not really take a liking to daddy's current girlfriend.
Yeah, true.
You have to preside over such dynamics. You understand? And with courtesy and mindfulness that these are kids, they may not have the same emotional intelligence as would be expected of you. All right. This is where now people, especially people of African descent, they do not believe much in external professional help when it comes to these things. This is where you sit down and source the help of a professional person who has the competency to advise on these matters, on how you can actually navigate this blended situation.
I understand.
All right. So if you are using your own wisdom sometimes and your own biases, now this is Viwe with his own biases, meeting Viwe with their own biases.
Absolutely.
And oftentimes they clash and there's expectations. Once again, let's not expect beyond one's capacity to deliver.
Absolutely.
Let me understand that Viwe's 100-meter race ends here. And I cannot expect beyond this.
Absolutely.
And how am I going to coexist with that, make peace with that, But no, there's no condition that is permanent in this life.
I understand. And I actually want to just take it back to our viewers for this particular one.
Okay.
In society, there is a concept of empowerment, which is appreciated, whether it's gender empowerment and so on. I think when we broker ourselves in these new relationships, we ought to understand when we empower and when we disempower each other. I'm of the view that if you're coming into my life as a newly single person, and finding me navigating my single space and you wanting to assume in your expression of love for me responsibilities that are not yours is, dare I say, disempowering me. If I am to navigate, it is. You can, I think for me, I cannot justify you assuming, ends up in an example of fees. You're coming into my life as a newly single person who is now reshaping my entire world to now understand that I have two people that we had agreed that we were going to raise together, but suddenly they're now mine, right? And now you come in, Sipo comes in as a new person and they assume your role. I think at that point, something else happens, where now you disempower me in my growth because you're replacing something. we cannot guarantee how long you're going to be here around for. Do you understand? I think for me, it's just something worth thinking about.
It's
What is help? What is help and what is empowerment, but what is disempowerment? It's often hidden in these gestures where I come in now and I act as though I am the maternal mother to a point where it does not help you as a man to understand how to cook for your kids outside me, how to tend to a child who's starting their periods outside me. Do you understand? And Lord forbid, I'm not there for the longest time. Who are you left to be? To replace me with Uzinhle ngoku?
I would say it is disempowering if the approach from my end is imposing and it doesn't source a buy-in from you, right? To that end, I'd say it is disempowering. But what I would find even more empowering is, listen, this is my thought process regarding your kids. Do you allow me to be a father to them? So an answer to that would be very crucial in my next step. If you're saying, don't play father figure to these kids, then I understand where you stand. And I can either be patient, if I can take it, or feel that, look, there is an integral part to our relationship that I feel is very important to make it complete and sealed. But as long as there is a gap, I cannot be able to fully carry this. I don't want to call it situation. This union.
I understand.
You get me. If we go to McDonald's on a Friday afternoon after school, we're going to grab burgers. I foot the bill for everyone, right? Your kids, my kids, I foot the bill.
That's fine.
Right?
That's love.
That's love. Same principle to say, listen, I see you are battling. I see you go. Do you mind if I actually help lower the burden, ease the burden? It's a yes or a no, but I'm offering. Don't find me disempowering if I am offering, because I am offering with an open mind that I will respect your prerogatives to the kids to say yes or no.
Okay. I think for me, and I always want to bring in the viewers on our conversation.
You being a mother, by the way.
No,
you being a typical mother
who's protective.
Okay.
No, I understand. I mean, we've disagreed mostly on this topic, on some things, but I know it was disagreements in love.
Yes,
and for me, I'm honestly of the view, and we are all allowed to coexist with different views.
Right.
For me, it's honestly a point to say, look, if you hold Mawetu's views, and I understand what you're saying with consensus, we can agree how far we extend ourselves within structure sabantwana bethu, and that's also okay. But if you're also somebody who's saying, wait, love me, let me be the point of entry into this space, but also there's limitations. There's limitations to what you can and cannot do. I might be speaking out of trust issues around my kids, as he's pointed out, that I'm quite a chicken with my hands when my ex, which is quite okay. But I'm very mindful of disempowering situations. For me, I want to feel the water hot. If I'm a single mother, let me mother. And so that every time you do something, I'm like, this is about me. It's not coming from a point of codependency, of, oh my goodness. Because I also know that such areas can breed situations that are not healthy, where the man uses the fact that ubhatala fees abantwana bakho to capture you. So you end up staying in another unhealthy situation because, come on, how are you going to afford ubhatala ubungaqhelanga zange waqhela utata awuqheli nangoku? But I mean, I may be taking it too wild, but there is space for people who think like that as well. And I think you can still shape your life anyhow you please. Okay. So don't let them tell you, and daughter must come into your life, and okay.
Be patient with each other up until you meet a point of convergence. If you disagree, don't let go of the union. Just walk each other through, establish trust, establish comfort, vulnerability, and create. Be your partner's safe place. That's all I can say. And it does not necessarily happen when I wish it to happen. It does not necessarily happen when you wish it to happen. But obviously, we take a step back and realize what is it that will make it reasonable for you to trust me with certain responsibilities. Because I do not do it so that I can one day use it against you or list it as things that I have done for you that make you beholden to me.
Oh my goodness.
And now you are stuck with me even when you have to make a decision that I am no longer a practical partner for you, or you can no longer deal with my toxicity. You have a right, and I don't have to claim back those things because I did it with no intention to actually use it against anybody. Instead, it should be fulfilling to me to say, look, I've extended myself, I have provided, I have poured love the way I understand it. I'm not saying every man out there should all of a sudden have the same mindset.
Absolutely.
All I can say is be one with your partner, have that understanding.
Yes, love it.
See how you can gel.
Mawethu, thank you for this conversation. Diyabulela kakhulu. I know we've disagreed. We've never disagreed this much on an episode. But having said that, I want to say to all the ladies who are mothers, I want to say to all the fathers who are single fathers, everybody stand on business. Be a wholesome parent. Let help be just something nje augmentayo. Don't go start ubuhuqa abantwana, guys, and be like depending on other people to show up. And also, I feel like it's only reasonable for you as a single parent to maybe just carry a bit of reserve in terms of how much you trust yourself with selecting partners, because kaloku ufailile Dandi, ufailed dismally on your previous one. Whether you participated or not, but at least create a safe haven for your kids. You know, be a wholesome, if we're in Dota know how to wash your kids' clothes, be a wholesome, fully, so that whenever somebody comes in, they're just stepping in. They're not taking over a role that you're afraid of facing. Miguel, batali fees, go work, go do whatever you need to do, go hustle. Just do you, stand on business, you're a mother, and whatever happened at this point, we're just saying, listen, be wholesome, be round, and work on yourself, be a full person, and also just role model for your kids. I mean, come on, it can be done. It can be done. Don't let anybody ever tell you it can't be done. And it's a wrap.
I know, you love me so. I know, you love me so.